Hey, this is Jen Strogatz, and you're watching PhilaLIVE by the Philadelphia Globe. I'm about to talk to Robert Schwartzman. His father, Jack Schwartzman, was the executive producer of the 1986 cult classic movie Rad, which will make its Blu-ray and 4K Ultra HD debut this May from Vinegar Syndrome and Utopia Distribution, which is also Robert's company. It was actually an official film selection of South by Southwest this year, but being that the apocalypse happened and they shut down South by Southwest, it has yet to be released. And so let's hear from Robert.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
good. How are you?
Good. Oh, I like your backdrop. That looks really cool.
Oh yeah, the sun is setting right now in Hawaii.
Yeah, it's beautiful where you are in Hawaii. Amazing.
It's always sunset all day long.
How'd you escape to Hawaii so fast in the apocalypse here?
I don't know. All you need to do is switch the background. You could be anywhere these days.
Amazing. You are the co-founder of Utopia Media and Distribution. It's a company that supports filmmaking and the entire life cycle, basically getting it straight to the consumer.
Mhm.
And your father was the executive producer of the cult classic Rad from the 80s. And
Yeah.
so, right?
hmm
So, and I also saw that your mom was starred in it too, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah. She
amazing.
played the mother in it. Yeah.
Not to
It's pretty cool.
mention, I realized that she played Adrian in Rocky, and that is my city's, like,
That's right. She's a
big
local.
iconic thing.
Yeah, she spent a lot of time in Philadelphia shooting, so it's very, it's part of her history.
That's amazing. Do you feel that you have any significant ties to Philly because of that, or not really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do just because of growing up, with her having the history if she had with Rocky, and I think with any parent in any job they're in, or if it's in the entertainment business, with a mother as an actress, when you're growing up, your friends or people you meet maybe know those movies.
Mhm.
So having to talk or watch those movies or be around it so much makes you feel close to the process or to the theme of the movie, the city it was shot in. But I spent many years also touring and making records under the Rooney Project, and I played in Philly like every year. I play a lot of shows there,
Mhm.
so I spent a lot of time in your amazing city.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. So about Rad, basically, I saw that it was supposed to be released at South by Southwest this year,
Right,
obviously, which has been canceled. You are also planning on distributing it this summertime, right? Is that
right.
still happening, or how did South by Southwest being canceled change anything, or your plans to bring it
To
out?
set.
Hmm.
Well, we were just first of all just very excited. South by for us was going to be a fun way to kind of debut the 4K like restoration version of Rad.
Hmm.
So we were just like pleased to be in the Austin community with the film, and it was just we felt very lucky to be a part of it. So it was unfortunate, obviously, for everybody who had something going on there to have it canceled so last minute.
Yeah.
Um, I think a lot of the people associated to Rad back in the day, like who actually were working on it at that time, were really excited to actually see it on the big screen in Austin and be a part of the whole festival experience.
Sure. Yeah.
So for them, there's a different meaning to it, and it's a shame to not be able to do it. We still, all that aside, we still have and have always had a longer plan for it, like sort of a bigger picture.
Hmm.
So the show kind of must go on, regardless of everything.
Sure.
Um, it was already announced, but there's a new DVD, like, 4K version available through Vinegar Syndrome, our
Right.
partners, which is available as like a direct, order kind of item on their website.
Hmm.
Um, there'll be other retail versions of the DVD coming in the fall.
Okay.
And then we have, which will be announced soon in other ways, but we're going to bring it to audiences sort of through streaming this summer, like on-demand streaming.
Okay.
So people will be able to see it this summer, and we'll announce all the dates soon. But yeah, it's going to be available for sort of home, order online and stuff like that.
Very cool.
Instant watching.
Sure.
And other kind of fun stuff in the works. It's been really a fun project. Rad is like, it's interesting, because it's been a long time coming, and
right.
I didn't directly like get to make the movie Rad, but my dad produced the movie Rad, and he had a production company he started, and that was one of the projects that they did in the early, it was one of the few movies that they got their hands on as a company. Mm-hmm. And he did pass away, and we were all quite young when he passed away, and a lot of these movies that he had worked on, we weren't in a position to do this, to like re-release it.
Sure.
But now as we've grown up, and personally I've taken a real interest in film distribution, I really enjoy the process. I've been able to work on movies myself as a director and producer. Cool. And so yeah, it's nice to get my hands on a project that was my dad's movie. I think that in its day when Rad came out, the movie industry was very different then. I think theatrical releases were like the main thing.
Yeah.
And home entertainment was really like VHS. It was called home entertainment. It was a different kind of medium. Mm-hmm. But so much in that world has changed over the years with technology. It's kind of been turned on its head into a whole new kind of world now.
Completely.
So I get to kind of be the next, a younger generation embracing the new and embracing new technology and trying to be forward thinking with anything I work on, but especially with Rad. I get to sort of modernize a movie from the 80s, a library title. And it's not just some random movie to me. It is a personal movie, and I want to make sure it's done right with care. So it's, there's a preciousness when it's a family film, when there's a legacy to it. And I think also there's a great fan base, who've been very loyal to the movie for a long time.
Yes.
I think people have waited a long time, and they've gotten their hands on like sort of illegal merchandise and stuff that wasn't ever approved or official.
Right.
So I said it in one interview before, but like, if anyone has the DVD already, it's not like the real thing. It's like some knockoff transfer of a other version.
Right.
So
it's the first time it's been released since 1986.
86 was it was shot in 85 and it was released in 86. So you could say, if you go back to when it was shot, this would be 35 years. If it was from the release, we're at 34 years. But yeah, this is a bit of an anniversary-ish kind of thing for us.
What do you think are the elements of it that really garner that following?
Well, first of all, I don't know if anyone can ever predict how a movie's ever going to react. Like in the market, any time of any year, a movie or anything comes out. I think it's just you roll the dice and something happens. Timing plays a big part in the way people receive and interpret things.
For sure.
And also everybody's emotional state of mind and where they are in their life can have an effect on how they see something or consume something. Mm-hmm. So, going back to that time in the 80s, from what I've heard from fans and people I know who love the movie, and my own relationship with the movie, the movie came out at a time where people were at a certain time in their life, maybe age-wise, where it made them actually feel like they could take on the world, from the BMX world. It was a new sport, a lifestyle kind of sport. So I think people felt really inspired at that time seeing this movie. So there's that effect. There's the age people saw it at. The fact that it was about BMX, which was a new thing. It was kind of up and coming. Right. Now BMX is like an Olympic sport. So it would have happened this year in Tokyo, but it got pushed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think that, and music, obviously the whole thing, it's a nostalgic film for people. I mean, the 80s was such a specific era in everything, like music, fashion, movies.
Totally.
advertising. Like, it was just a thing. There was a real identity in the 80s. And I think this movie is very much from that world.
For sure.
So I think people identify with all aspects of this movie. The way the lines, some of the dialogue in it is very much of the 80s. A lot of the music is extremely amazing. I mean, the music's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, the best soundtrack ever. Yeah, I think that if you talk to fans, everyone probably has their own story about like how they found Rad, how they fell in love with Rad.
Mm.
I think the fact that it wasn't like a monstrous hit commercially at the time, I think that played a part in like the cool factor of it, the cultiness of it.
Yeah.
Because people kind of discovered it at their own pace.
Mm-hmm.
And through word of mouth. And I think word of mouth is the most, powerful marketing tool you could ever ask for. If you don't have this massive P&A budget and you're jamming down ads down everybody and, keeping everywhere you look, you see an ad for something. Without that, you have to have something about it that just catches fire naturally. Mm-hmm. And Rad, I think, just is a slow burner for people. I think everyone, who loves the movie would agree. Just like it found a place into people's hearts and personalities and identity, and they'll always have that.
In terms of Utopia distribution, I know that you have acted in the past. What sort of turned you, away from being in front of the camera to being on this end of filmmaking and all of that?
Well, I definitely found my way into distribution through making movies myself. And then by making movies, I started to figure out, like, the movies I made a movie called Dreamland. It was my first feature film. It's out, now. It went to Tribeca, which was cool. And then I made a movie called The Unicorn, which went to South by Southwest. Mm-hmm. So I got to have my South by moment and feel that. And then I made a new movie coming out this year called The Arguments. So my third feature is coming out later this year, and I'll, make a follow up about that. But in making movies independently, and they were all independent, meaning there was no distribution company involved when we made it. We just kind of made a movie by raising financing independently, and we got enough people, crew and cast, to want to come together and make the movie. And then now when it's done, you have to go try to sell the movie to a company after the fact to put it out. Right. And I just felt like the world of the companies that were out there, or the companies that were giving movies a chance, or why they were buying movies, their buying habits. Yeah. It's just, I didn't understand like why certain people were buying this or that, or, can't there be other ways to do this? Like, can't we mix this up? Like, how do we solve these problems in other ways? Mm-hmm. That's what got me motivated to go start my own, put a company together. It's not mine. I didn't even call it mine. It's really for the filmmakers. It's a filmmaker-driven company. It's sort of fuel filmmakers. So it's, people who, we're just there as a company. We have a great team. We have amazing people who've come from other distribution companies that joined Utopia. And they've really, the people who joined Utopia took a chance on us because we're a new company. Or you could call it a startup, really. Any company that's new is really a startup. But, we are a team of very experienced people from other companies that have been doing it a long time, and just really identified with the vision for championing filmmakers. It was like, how do we really put all of what we can do behind the vision of the filmmaker? Yeah. And be smart about how we bring movies to audiences and be different. And that's really it. Like, a lot of business, unfortunately, just comes down to like money, mm-hmm. which is a shame because
I know.
It's a necessary thing. I mean, like, companies they have, let's just say you have a team and they're on salary and you have overhead, you have an office, whatever it may be. There's a lot of competition and pressure out there for everybody. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, that can trickle into the way companies think and make decisions. Mm-hmm. And I just think that, like, you could have really good movies out there that get, like, missed or overlooked because they don't fit the sort of company profile. Right. Which might be really driven only based on commerciality. Sure. In one format, too. It might just be theatrical. Mm-hmm. Some companies are like, I don't know about this movie. There's no theatrical component. Or I don't know if so-and-so will buy it. Right. Which is understandable. I mean, again, they're just going off of what they know. And that's how companies make decisions. Right. and they live or die by those decisions. I think that those are maybe that's the ripple effect I'm talking about. It's that kind of stuff that's going on that I think makes it harder for independent films to survive.
Sure.
And unless you have, again, like star-driven movies, I hate to say it, but they call it like star-driven.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could say the word talent, but I think that's like not a good word to use because, talent is not how famous you are.
Right. Not, of course not.
But unfortunately, we live in a society, if you're talking about societal, things going on, where we unfortunately value things based on fame and followers, and rather we overlook things, based on they're already proven in some capacity, rather than wanting to break new voices and new talent, going championing things that maybe aren't exactly a sure thing, but we'll do our best to try to make it successful.
Art is just sort of lost amongst us because of
Right.
business. And I
Right.
think what you're doing is really admirable for filmmakers and for everybody, really, because I mean, you're sort of pioneering like this new way that can be really helpful to so many people, artists who really
Right.
deserve to be heard, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I think everyone at Utopia and what we're doing is really driven by wanting to support and take care of the film community, fans of movies and people creating movies at every level. There's no really, like, there's no tier or slot thing of like, we only do this or we do that. We don't want to set so many rules where you start to overlook trying to champion and support the film community as a whole.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I'm glad you recognize that, and thank you. I'm glad that you like that. I mean, with Utopia, we've been really specific about wanting to find movies that we really are excited about as well, just personally connect to. Because look, I mean, outside of what we just said, like championing filmmakers, there's also companies also have things they like, just in terms of the stuff. I mean, you have music you like, movies you really gravitate towards. As a company, we have movies we like and gravitate towards personally.
Yeah.
So, but we try to make decisions based on things we like, genuinely, just enjoy.
Sure, that makes sense, of course. So I'm curious because in Philly, at least, we have a really rich, vibrant art scene. And
Yeah.
especially for filmmakers, there's an amazing scene for that. So if, well, I guess I would ask you, what would you say to them? And to work with Utopia, if they had a film, would they be able to submit it to you, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's a great question. Um, with Utopia, there's an acquisitions team.
Mhm.
So if you go to utopiadistribution.com, there's information. Something I do want to share with your audience, I think that more filmmakers out there are going to start taking a chance on self-releasing their films. So we've been working on a new platform called Altavod. And Altavod, it's spelled ALTAVOD.com. It's going to go live this summer,
Okay.
but it's like a self-service, direct-to-consumer platform. People in your community, you can, you'll keep an eye on it, but people can basically start to kind of just say, look, I don't necessarily want to sell it to a distributor, right? I just want to put it out myself. So I'm going to kind of run my own campaign myself. It is the most kind of hands-on, user-friendly, direct-to-consumer, platform really we feel that's available for people.
Yeah.
And this is for like everyone to use, even if you're, Steven Spielberg or you're a new name or you're a distribution company.
Right.
It's kind of an all-the-above tool that we think everyone can really benefit from.
It's amazing.
So anyway, you could share it with your followers. The next week, the filmmaker admin upload tool goes live next week, so filmmakers can start putting their features, and it's basically only feature films, by the way.
Okay.
The community, all the content on the platform will only be feature-length films.
Mm-hmm.
So if people are sitting on movies they've made and they want to put them out, or no one ever got to see them, they can now have a new solution to that.
I think we're taught to think we can't, as a filmmaker, you're taught to think, okay, I can't get this out if somebody doesn't come and, support me in it. But,
Yeah.
you're showing people that's not really necessarily true, and that can lead to so
Right.
many things for people.
There are definitely more barriers to entry in the film world, and we want to be, a solution to that problem. So the problem of if you don't have the access, or your movie doesn't get into a film festival, or you didn't get that article in the fancy publication, or whatever those things were that people thought were the secret sauce to getting the road to success.
Right.
I think those times are changing. Like, I think the road to success is really on your terms as a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really time to kind of start to figure out our own way to, stay in control of what we're creating.
Yeah, right now is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Look around us. It's literally everything is like that now, but except film. So,
Yeah.
but I did want to just
Cool.
talk to you about Rooney for a sec. I saw that you guys, so last year was your 20th anniversary.
Yeah. Crazy.
Happy anniversary. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I didn't know until, I didn't even know you guys toured last year, but,
Yeah, so I started Rooney in high school. I was like a junior at the time, or it was like sophomore into junior year. But so it was 1999, technically, when the first show was played in LA. So that was the 20-year anniversary was last year. But yeah, I did take some time off specifically from like being in Rooney, like as a just touring and making records under the Rooney brand. But I started putting records out again in 2016, and then I went on the road pretty much every year since then. I went back kind of to touring. So yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoy. I love making music. There's nothing like it, and I can't imagine a world where I'm just like not getting to put records out and playing a show. Like, I want to keep that muscle kind of working.
totally.
So this year in particular, I'm kind of focused on these film projects.
No.
But yeah, but next I toured like last summer, and then I played a show. But I think next year, hopefully, I'll put a record out and go on the road. I kind of like to do one U.S. tour a year.
Yeah, that would
I
be.
kind
So
of
you
get that.
think that next year you will be doing a tour, probably?
Yeah, I hope. I mean, that would be awesome. I don't. It's so touring can be really really tiring and
Yeah,
really really like hard. So I would have to do it when I could be in the right like mindset. But I could see maybe next summer there being some shows and stuff like
that'd
that.
be amazing. You have to come to
Yeah.
Philly. Um,
Look, follow my Robert Schwartzman Instagram or Rooney Instagram, and
I will.
or
Oh,
even
I
Spotify. And you'll see the updates.
okay, I will. Just curious, when you played in Philly last year, which venue were you at?
Oh, so on my 20th anniversary, I played acoustic.
I
I played
saw
by my,
that.
yeah.
I saw a video.
It was like a storyteller show. So, and I've never in all my years ever toured like that. I've been touring for over 10 years, 12 years. I mean, with the time off, you could say it was more than that. But the, I just didn't want to go out and do a full rock loud show. I wanted to play and talk.
Hmm.
So I kind of got to tell stories about how songs were written and what the lyrics used to be, and why I wrote this and why this album it was like kind of a bit of a context kind of
Yeah,
tour.
that's awesome.
It was cool, and I've just played alone. It was an interesting, scary, but very rewarding.
Sure.
And I think fans who came out were like, "Whoa, I didn't know what to expect, but this was like awesome." Like, really happy with the show.
Yeah.
But I played at Johnny Brenda's.
Oh, yeah, they're the best.
Yeah, so I played by myself on that stage. I know it's like an iconic venue for Philly, so that was cool. I
Yeah,
got to play alone at Johnny
that's
Brenda's.
amazing.
Oh, go keep up with it.
I
Yeah,
will. I will from now on for sure.
yeah.
Well, Robert, it was
Thank
so nice to talk to you. I'm really excited to see all the things that you're doing. It's really, um, in my art, I feel like it's going to be really impactful for a lot of people, which is a beautiful thing. So
you
thank you
so
for
much.
that.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Jen.
It
Thank you
was
so
nice
much.
to meet you too.